bees are cool. They should not be able to break legs, infect, and everything else they do. They're more dangerous than demos. Can they break your leg? Let's see if the bees give a rare sickness chance, like a 0.1% chance of getting, that gives the player debuffs like the virus from Fallout 4 from the mole rats. Oh, don't give them any ideas to copy more of Fallout. I mean, no offense, but they have really taken a lot of stuff from Fallout in the last couple of updates. To the point of, let's hope Bethesda's dev team doesn't start playing the game, or there might be trouble. I've only played on 1 or 2 multiplayer servers in the past. I never realized the map integrity was such an issue. Kind of par for the course for this game, though. Yes. It's one of the reasons why they will probably never actually attempt to try and make it to where between updates you'll be able to go back to play old saves, because the old saves will eventually break down anyway. Oh, there's still some more in here! Don't you do it! Okay, you're not convincing me to run out of stamina again. Oh, don't make it back out of there. Why do they keep going for this? What in the wide world of 7 Days to Die deities compel you to path in this manner? You know what? I absolutely refuse to get your books. I'm not doing it.
Look, Buckhead, I'd say it's been an honor.
I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just gonna continue getting your ammo and stuff. Yeah. I would say you were an interesting character that they put into the game, but it would be a lie. This isn't fair. When I say spawn near friends, it spawns me a kilometer away from everyone. Screw you, game. I thought it was supposed to spawn you right next to them. That's the purpose in it. You're near Gray. Oh, does it give you the option of who you spawn next to? You know what? If the game was a whole lot more immersive, you know, like if it was going for realism or something like that, which we're obviously not because we've got fanciful creatures and magic armor and stuff like that, I would probably feel inclined to close doors because it would be more immersive. But since we don't actually have that, and that's not the game we're playing, I see no reason for it. Stepping in a body and it was getting between my toes.
How did you?
I never close that door.
Pretty smart now, don't you?
Very. I think I'm a genius. An absolute, unadulterated genius on the level with Elon.
What are you, a zombie?
I'm just hampered by my brain loading time. People only interact with you because they absolutely have to, not because they're choosing to. I think the Fun Pimps are going the right way with 2.0. Okay. The future will tell what's going to happen with game. You just need to be patient and not want it all at once. How boring would that be? People wouldn't want to play rest of open world games. What you talking about, Andy? Is this a criticism of my recent content? You are allowed your opinion. That's fine. Spout thine opinion all you wish. That is your choice. I have made my position on the situation abundantly clear. All I'm saying is all open worlds don't last long. You know this game will be for years with content. Okay, Andy. If you're ignoring your base audience, if you're ignoring customer complaints, if you're ignoring your own developmental strategy that should have been implemented 13 years ago, that makes you a stupid developer. If you're not doing those things, I guess you're not a stupid developer. You just have other plans that you're not telling anybody. Just vaguely say that. Or the developers that hate you. Yeah, try and avoid games where the developers actively hate their audience. Or fight against their audience. Yep, that's right, Andy. It's really good that they don't listen. It's awesome that they don't listen. That's what every single content creator and person who's been playing this game for 13 years has been saying. It's really great that the Fun Pimps don't listen to feedback. It's awesome. Definitely. Okay, what do we need? Why games die as a woe community? Making games that nobody's actually interested in playing is the reason why a game dies. Regardless to which community does it. And assuming gamers care about things that gamers don't actually care about is another thing. And actually, I'd go a step further in saying making unattractive female characters is a reason why a game will die. I don't want to play an ugly chick. I also don't want to play an ugly dude. For that matter. which is another thing. Exactly why on earth do we have athletic gear for a woman that gives her saggy butt? Who voted for this? Seriously, it's saggy, poopy butt is what it looks like when you put the athletic gear on the chick. It's horrible. Not that I actually have to stare at it because we don't have third person or anything else like that, but still. Sam, you want to be a pretty chick? Exactly. If I'm going to play a dude, I want an awesome looking dude. If I'm going to play a chick, I want an awesome looking chick. Plain and simple. Did I contribute as a streamer and buy the DLC to help the game prosper for the future? No. I also was not a content creator who accepted free DLC and then refused to report that I got free content that I was making. There is a TOS that exists on YouTube. If you receive something for free and you're doing a report over it or whatever, a review, you're supposed to tell people that you got it for free. I am not one of those. I did not get it for free and I have not bought it. Why? Because I do not believe in it and I do not buy, receive, or report on things that I think are robbery. So, no, I didn't. Nor will I. And I do feel bad if there's anybody who was not informed that they were supposed to tell people that they got that for free and then therefore violated TOS. I'm sure it was mentioned by somebody. Shame. Yeah, Andy, it's a real shame I didn't give them extra money for that. The reason being is because I have this code that you can actually ask other places that I do, in fact, engage in this. Whenever I feel like I'm being ripped off, I don't just blindly go for it. The fact that I am still playing this game and making content over it is first off a testament to how much I enjoy the game. I'm not going to purchase something I don't believe in. I'm definitely not going to ask other people to purchase something I do not believe in. I do hope eventually this particular game develops a story that happens. I understand why they won't develop the story ahead of time and tell people how it's working or whatever. It would actually kind of kill it if they told us the story. I do hope that they start working towards it because stretching out the beginning part of the game I think is starting to wear on people who are playing it. If you did, maybe they would give later first for others a negative as the problem. I have no idea what the first part of that sentence even meant. Problem if it's a streamer, I would give them my full support. Andy, that is awesome. Do that. Do that. Do that thing. You do you, boo-boo. You do you. Can YouTube peeps be banned? He's just stating his opinion. If he wants to... What's the proper phrase? You don't ever expect to see a story. I mean, they're still working on the Promised Bandits. Yeah, that's true. It would be nice to have a story to play through, but it would also be nice. I think it would be cool if there was a story. So if you wanted to do the story, you could do the story, the official story of what happened and where it's going and everything else like that. But I think what would be better is if they actually had scenarios, such as, you know, how we have the storms and we have the biome progression and stuff like that. If those were scenarios that you play. If you're wondering what I mean by a scenario, there's a game called RimWorld. And you have different scenarios. It's like you're starting stuff that changes, the stuff that happens in the world changes, and people could create custom scenarios like the difficulty, how the zombies act, how much feral sense they have, how loot spawns. If all of that stuff was customizable into a scenario and they could change scenarios back and forth, I think it would be really cool. I think that would add to a whole lot of longevity for the game. This is not Twith, where you can ban people for speaking freedom and shut them down because you don't like it. No, I don't actually have to have a reason, Andy. I can just ban people because I don't like them. If I really wanted to. I don't actually have to have a reason for it. I choose not to. There's a difference. I choose to have people come on here and state their opinion on how the game is going because everybody has a valid opinion on how the game is going. If you like it, that's cool. People who don't like it, that's cool. Everybody's going to have their own opinion on it. Heck, I have my own opinion on it. Other content creators have their own opinion on it. Heck, everybody who has a bad opinion of the game has different viewpoints on how it could be fixed. I just think the mod authors like Furious Rams, so they have a story and give you those scenario types. Yeah, exactly. And they are trying really hard to make other scenarios. I think it would be awesome if things like that were implemented. Not ripping off the mod author. I mean, like, coming up with their own scenarios and events and things like that that can be implemented into the game so people can experience them and share them. I think that would be amazing. You can go around to every single one of the traders and open all of the doors. How's V2 officially treating you? I hate it. Why are you selling a stone shovel? Seriously. I don't like V2? No, I don't. I really don't. I'm playing it with hopes that eventually it'll get changed, because typically if I play it and act like I like it enough, they'll change it. So, we're just gonna say it. I love our frost troll. He's very sparkly and magical, and I love him. I can't even do that. That freaking hurt my brain doing that, I swear to God. And the plague spitter is so immersive. Please stop. Oh, man. That physically hurt me to do, I swear to God. Oh, man. You're a scary Chaplain Reaper. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let's hope they add bug spray. That should definitely be the next magical thing that we have. And we should have to drop it on the ground and it spreads out, you know? And it should be like sparkly and stuff. Obviously. So there's at least 2 things you love? Yes. And the progression is absolutely perfect. What I wanted was a Boy Scout badge, or in my case, a Girl Scout badge. It just makes me feel like I've accomplished a lot in my life, being able to earn badges in this video game. I do hope that they make the badges bigger and they stick them to the center of your forehead so everybody else can see which badge you've earned. She's gone feral. I'm sorry. Oh, man. My sarcasm knows no bounds. What do you love about the storms? I have to say the storms are probably one of the few things I legitimately do not mind. I know that there's a lot of people who dislike the storms. Me personally, I haven't been inconvenienced by them. I can't see why they would be inconvenient to deal with. I haven't experienced all of the storms yet, but I think it's really stupid. Some of the situations that we're going through it. I actually don't mind the storms, though. You want the storms to be tougher? Oh, you said rougher. That's wow. Bow chicka wow wow. Yes, it would actually be nice if the storms were rougher. I don't think in many cases, I mean, if you actually walk outside in the storm, you're not really taking that much damage. It doesn't really cause that many problems. The zombies running faster, the special zombies that exist in that world, running at nightmare speed because of the storm going on is amazing. If the storms were a lot harder, it would make it feel, what if they put settings on the storm? It's like, okay, we've got varying degrees of difficulty. What if you have varying degrees of storms and you've got, like, the first level, you just experience the storm, there's no side effect. The next level is like, you have the storm, but it does a little bit of damage like it does now. Then the next one, you have, like, the biome-specific storms cause the biome-specific storms cause the bio-specific zombie to move at nightmare speed, and then hellstorms, basically that spawns in other bad guys that converge on your location, kind of like a mini horde of some sort. I think that would probably be really, really cool, especially for people wanting to experience scenarios in the game. That, and there's other aspects to the storm that I think they took out that they should have left in there, like actually being cold, actually being hot, the food situation that happened, your clothes offsetting those things, and stuff like that. The system that existed with the clothing, that completely getting stripped out, and it's just like magical storm. I don't necessarily like the aspect of magic storm. Clothes? What clothes? Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had biome specific and temperature and everything else like that. We had all of those systems in there that were very immersive. I'm not saying they were the best implemented back then, and they aren't now, but what I'm saying is they lost some of that immersiveness and made them magical storms. And a lack of clothing, actual clothes that offset some of that stuff, adds to that knowledge. The thing is they also have storms in other games. They have, like some of the Ark versions, they have the storms. The Conan has the storms, and I'll be honest with you, when we played in a server, we turned the storms off because you couldn't do anything outside. During the storm, you would just die. And being on a server, you don't have, like, I get it, a lot of people play hours and hours and hours worth of games. I don't have that kind of time, sadly. That is not the life I live. I don't have tons of hours to develop storyline games, the whole 9 yards, do all of the things. I just don't have that kind of time. So whenever I go to play a game, I want to play the freaking game. So if they made it strong enough, it would make it scary to go out during the storms. And yes, you probably want the ability to turn it off and turn it on. That way it's more like a scenario situation. You would play with these settings on, knowing you are playing with these settings to do a specific thing. Kind of like when Jawoodle did his series where he was out in the sun and the sun damaged him. He knew starting out the playthrough, this is what's going to happen and this is how it works and this is all I need to do in order to go through that. If the Fun Pimps created, instead of storyline, which we know that they're not going to get to and probably not get to bandits anytime soon, if they created a scenario system where you could augment those, not just these settings inside this long list of BS that nobody really understands what they do. If this is like, okay, custom scenario 1, what would we call this? Hellstorm. And it would basically be like medium settings across the board, but the main significant thing that would be amped up is the difficulty of the storms. If you were wanting to do hardcore biome progression, the grind, let's call it the grind, you would turn it up to where you actually have to go around and find bits and pieces of clothing that I guess in this point you would have to attach to your armor that would work for a limited amount of time, and you had to go in and find the specific type of thing. Like, you could put a bandana in your helmet because a bandana would protect you from smoke for the first biome. You had to go into that biome, and inside that loot range that exists in that area is a, I don't know, a fireman's mask or something like that, and you have to go in and look for it, and you have to keep creating more bandanas. It's still a bit, it's more immersive than badges. Not that I don't mind my badges. I love my badges. I definitely want more of my badges. Please put it in the middle of my face. Not that we don't mind the badges. But you know, if you wanted to go for a scenario type of situation and make it a whole lot more immersive. Stop, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll quit. Scenario focus sounds awesome. It just seems like it would be nice to create scenarios, and if they not only had some scenarios that they came up with on ways they want people to play the game would be a scenario. If they were to implement those as scenarios, they could, you know, have scenarios in the game and then custom make scenarios, meaning content creators or people playing the game could go in and augment all of the scenarios, share the code with somebody. If you've ever played Outlast Trials, you know what it is I'm talking about. They have the ability to change your variators, the map, the whole 9 yards, and you could share a code and allow someone to play with your custom settings according to this thing. It's basically a scenario. And people could do playthroughs and challenge each other with those scenarios, like certain limitations on how high you can jump, how far you can go, which biome you're in, the whole 9 yards. These custom scenarios could be endless. And that actually, potentially, certain scenarios could potentially be proper DLC. Proper DLC, that's not DLC. That's costumes, completely overpriced costumes that should have, they were gaming content that should have existed in the game. It was advertised as being in the game Alpha 21. 2 years ago. 3 years ago. Close to 3 years ago, basically. It was advertised to be in the game, and then they turned it into DLC. Do you know anything about this? Did you put this here? Has the HOA said it was okay? Ed, talk to me. That's cool. Does this seem like Lost? This is fucking Lost, isn't it? This is the bunker in Lost. Is this where I've got to put the numbers in? Yeah. This is Lost. The overuse of zombie closets annoys me. I think their biggest problem is trying to figure out a way of, with their limitations, figuring out how to make zombies scary. instead of just existing. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. The person who made this one, if you were on crack, continue taking crack, please. Hey! Oh, jeez. Ah. Yeah, that's definitely how that works. His butt is floating. Not that he has a butt. This is how I imagine spending the apocalypse. Shrooms! Hello. Dean, have you seen the shrooms? Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. Yes, exactly. What do you mean? You don't like your sparkly Girl Scout, Boy Scout badge? They should definitely make it a sticker so you can put it in the middle of your forehead and show the entire server you did it. Because everybody likes to show off their badges. And I guess suspended because of sarcasm. I think it's absolutely remarkable that they made it to where you can just continue moving around and doing whatever the heck you want to on a sprain and it does not matter anymore. My time hasn't been going up. I haven't gotten a break. The sprain just means your character makes noise. Moves a little bit slower. And redeem! We officially have our badge as soon as I go see the trader. Hang on. We're gonna go to the trader and get it. I want my magical badge to just appear on me and be sparkly in the middle of my forehead. What do you mean I gotta go to a trader and get it? Isn't it magical? Shouldn't it just appear? With the badge fairy? Can we get a badge fairy? We have trolls. Can we have badge fairies? Okay, I'll go out here and explain badge fairies. Since we have magical potions in order to go into new biomes, we have trolls, frost trolls, we have our sparkly badges that we should put in the middle of our forehead. We should definitely have levitating badge fairies that just appear and descend upon you to slap you in the middle of the forehead with your badge whenever you get it. And it should sparkle. Oh, I still have to spend time. What am I doing? I can't get it yet. I'll come back to you, badge fairy. Later. A combination, like the way that the Darkness Falls does it, and a few other mods actually do it, is a combination of learn by doing and then skill points. And that just, it makes so much sense. I don't understand why they're so resistant to the concept. Like, no, we don't want you sitting in the dark in some corner of a room crafting 5,000 axes. It's like, what else are they doing at night? They can't go out at night. Why does it matter? Why does it matter so much to you that you stay up at night trying to figure out a way to stop them from sitting in a corner making axes? If they choose to make the beginning part of the game boring, they can make the beginning part of the game boring for themselves. It's like the people who make drop bases. Some people find drop bases very boring. It's like, okay, well, you don't have to make a drop base. So if you don't have to make a drop base, that means if you find them boring, don't make a drop base. You won't be bored. It's a sandbox game. Leave it alone. I think in a lot of cases they're asking themselves, how do we want people to play this game? Not how can we make this game more immersive and feel more realistic? I don't think that they ask that question enough. Heck, I'm all for them making the game more difficult, but it needs to be immersive. Immersively done. Find ways of making it feel more immersive, more like a zombie apocalypse, more like every decision that you make is life or death, and not in cheesy ways. I think people would respond well to it. I really, really do. Yeah, that's what a sandbox game is. You give them the thing and you watch them play. You don't tell them how to build a castle, how to dig their sand, how to... There's ways of making the game more difficult and challenging and things like that without messing with the sandbox. Without dumping all of the sand out of the sandbox and then just giving them the shovel and saying, here, you're only allowed this. And cranky means tomorrow I'll feel better and I wouldn't criticize the game. No, this is a bad update and I'm trying really hard to still be optimistic about the game and playthroughs and gaming in general. I'm still trying to be that while still also saying without a shadow of a doubt to anybody who comes to my stream that I'm not happy about it. And I don't mind saying that I'm not happy about it, but I still want to enjoy the game. So that's what I'm going for. I don't know if it's coming across that way. Probably heavy on the sarcasm is probably how it's coming out. But I do apologize. We're going to have 7 days fun regardless to whether or not 7 days wants us to have fun. I installed 7 days way back. Was that the BRB screen you had? Was that a 7 days front screen? Yeah. That was just the load-in screen. Now it's got all kinds of advertisements and stuff on it now. Oh, in the The 2.1 version, there's a lot of random cha-ching noises that exist now. It's very annoying. I'm just warning you guys ahead of time. Like opening loot, suddenly it sounds like you opened up a cash register for no reason. How do you know it works though then? Because just because it makes a noise doesn't mean it's actually working either, just that the noise is working. I mean, let's be honest, just because it's playing the noise doesn't mean it's actually working. You should be able to see the effect, not necessarily hear the effect. What's going to happen when you open up all of the perks and everything else like that every 5 seconds? Some random sound effect is going to be going off like you're in a Looney Tunes game. I mean, yeah, maybe if you were playing in a debug mode or something like that and you were wanting to test to make sure it was working, you would probably add in a sound effect to ensure that it was working. If you're playing a sandbox survival immersive game, you're not going to look inside something and hear cha-ching! This is a family-friendly Minecraft server. Why are you showing your butt to the crowd? You can't give that away for free. You said immersive, lol. Yeah, no. I know. I keep hoping. But apparently the game that I wish that this was going to become is probably not what it's going to be. It's not their direction anyway. There is no way in hell he's gonna give me enough loot to warrant this long run. Ever play WoW? Run for ages? No, that's the reason why I would never play a game like that. That's just a colossal waste of time. Regardless to how fun a game is, if it's gonna spend most of the time traveling and waiting for things, it's no longer fun in my opinion. I do not have that kind of patience. There are some games out there that respect your time, and there are other games that do not respect your time. Need at least one trader per town in the larger maps. That, and there's actually a limit to the size of the town that can be inside this biome. It's only allowed to be like one of the residential towns. You're not allowed a big town inside those biomes. There's no reason why you should have to go to 2 separate residential towns to try and finish out your tier 1s. Straight through the floor. Oh, that should definitely have ended you. Is the back of... Ugh. What the hell? That must have been one of those fancy effects that I was using with the sledge. Jeez. It's fine. It's fine. Just imagine it's actually the crunching of the vertebra inside of the zombie. It's fine. We'll pretend. What would be your opinion on removing nerd pull ability? I think it removes a lot of exploitation. I think the fun pimp should stop trying to figure out ways of telling people how they should or should not play in a sandbox game. And removing the ability to nerd pull if somebody wants to nerd pull is another one of those. Unless they're going to go full on immersive, if they want to go full on immersive and make the game exceptionally immersive, then yeah, remove it. Make sure every single POI, all of the stuff can be reached without needing a nerd pull at all. I'm okay with that. But I think they would have to remove way too many things that they have in the game right now in order to make it full immersive. But if we're going to have cha-ching coming out of our butt whenever we open a container and magical armor, I think just leave the nerd pulling alone. There's only so many different ways you can guide people to play the way you want to in a sandbox game before people just stop playing it. If they want a game that's going to tell them how to play it, they'll play a linear story or something like that. That's the difference between a sandbox and a linear story. One is supposed to tell you how to play it and where to play it and have this storyline for you or whatever. A sandbox, open world thing, it's not supposed to hold your hand and it's also not supposed to guide your hand. So I think they need to choose and stop fence sitting with it. You can only fence sit for so long before one of your feet slide off and you wind up with your balls around the sides of one of these fences right here. And if that ever happens, well, the game is dead, you know? Thing is, in many POIs, you can just pull to the loot room. Well, that's their choice to pull to the loot room. I mean, you can cheese the game as much as you want to or not cheese the game. If you personally don't like nerd pulling and having to go through the entire POI, then go through the entire POI, do the whole thing. Nobody's saying you have to play differently. The people who are nerd pulling and bypassing the entire building or whatever, that's their style of play and they can make it as cheesy as they want to in a single player game. Now, if you are in a server, you go by server rules. If the server says don't skip the POI and go straight for the end loot, then that's what you have to do. And if a person's not doing it, then they should be booted from the server. We have the same rule in here. You can't just go through an entire POI, not loot any of the containers, and go after the main loot and leave. The reason for that is because if anybody walks into a POI and starts looking around, there's full containers. They're like, okay, nobody's hit this POI, so I'm going to go through, I'm going to clear it, I'm going to get the main loot. Then they get all the way to the end after using up all the ammo, searching all the containers, getting all the stupid stuff. They get to the end to find out someone's already taken the main loot. Well, that's not really good for multiplayer. I mean, it actually kind of sort of sucks for multiplayer. But if you're in your own world doing your own thing, nerd pull and go get the final loot if you want to. Right now, I can tell you, it used to be, and it's probably going to sound salty, but I'm not actually meaning it salty. It used to be that it was exceptionally worth it, and to the point of, it was almost like the fun pimps were forcing you to do missions, because the loot that you wanted, they had it. If you wanted the good loot, you went to them. And then they changed it to the books. And now that they have the books, they want you to craft it, and they've made their loot so bad, what's the point of even doing a mission? So, between varying degrees of however they decide to eventually land on doing this game, shifting your way you handle the game is probably going to happen in my game. I'm just at the point where I don't want to loot anything else. I want to go after the main loot.
You look thirsty.
Thank you, thank you.
Why don't you get
I want to go
hydrated?
after the main loot and go back to the trader and get my reward and move on, because my goal is not the traders anymore, it's the books. It's kind of a sucky thing in the apocalypse to be going for,
Here's
but
reward.
I mean, we are where we are. I get it, I'm on my tier 1s, but now you can't even invest perk points into making this better. That used to be a skill tree you could go into, is I put points in and I get this better loot, not just better loot in their purchasing stuff. Like, if you put your perk points into it, they'll eventually start carrying solar and stuff like that you can purchase. Nothing helps with crest rewards. They all just suck. And it doesn't matter how much you worked for it, they still suck. So if somebody wants to run through their tier 1s and tier 2s, grab the main loot, go back and get their stuff, and then move on, because especially with the biome progression, if they want to do that as quickly as possible, knowing that their loot is capped in this particular biome, well, actually it's capped in all of the biomes, I can't really say I blame them. Not even a little bit. Especially when he's going to send me so far
I got
away.
work to do if you. Good luck.
See, if I was in my own playthrough right now and not in the server, I would run over there, grab the loot, and come back, because it's already a long way away and there's no way it's going to reward me enough for me sticking around. Until you get to the wasteland, really, the main loot in the game is not actually worth going after either. It's just the best thing that you're going to find there, so if you make it harder for them to get to it, people are just going to stop looting, which that's going to kind of kill the game. 9 out of 10 people who play this game, looting is their favorite pastime. There are so many loot goblins in this game. If you continue to make loot bad and harder to get to, they're just going to stop playing it, because there's other games that reward your time better. When you first start the game up, you're dealing with the worst trader. He's got the worst loot in his inventory. He's got the worst attitude. Your POIs can only go to a certain level because of the type of residential restriction that we've got. And the towns are so small, you're only going to be able to do a couple of those, and then you're going to have to go to another section in the same biome, because you can no longer go to another biome like you could before. If the other biome was close enough and it had POIs, they'd send you over there and you had a chance for a little bit better loot, and it's a whole thing, guys. It's a whole thing, and it's all intertwined. The point being is this early game now sucks harder than it did before. I guess that's the reason why most people like rush to get to the end game, and this is probably just going to force them to do it faster rather than the actual thing that they were trying to do. They practically made it harder to do missions because rewards are bad 90% of the time. It used to get a full set of tier 1 armor before the burnt biome. Having stone tools in a snowy biome is stupid as heck. Yes, yes it is. The fact that the trader is selling stone tools is stupid in my opinion. And the fact that it's selling a tier 5 stone tool for 1,000, like, how much money are we even getting for these missions? How much of this money am I having to spend on food? Food and water were already nerfed, and you spend more money on the food and water early days, so it's not like you can get any of the good stuff from the trader anyway. It's like, ooh, cool, it's an upgrade, but it's a crappy upgrade. Should not be able to buy stone tools from the trader. Immersively, that just sucks. That dude went outside, found the prettiest stone he could find, and strapped it to a stick with rope and trying to sell it. The feeling of satisfaction of having done a job and grinded and managed to get a really cool something or another from the trader. And now I get a box of books. Dummies can crawl through a 1 meter space, but we cannot. Yeah, and they no longer actually crawl. They kneel through it. I missed the crawling animation. It was very creepy. Everybody's like, I hate the crawling animation. They drop down and... No. The crawling animation was fine. Them dropping down at a moment's notice like they were... getting paid by the hour, if they're dropping down that fast, there's a problem. But just the crawling animation was not a problem. But now they just do it and they kneel, which is just weird. Can I get out of here? Aha. That's not bad. That's not bad. I have to say, that's one of the better ones I've seen. 5 pipe bombs, 2 bandages, 5 lockpicks, 30 7.62 ammo. And what am I gonna get? The books. I don't know. I think. If I was going to bring a coffee brand to you, or something like that, and the coffee brand was sketchy AF. I mean, like, it's practically like guano, coal, and wood mixed together, and it's in a bag, and I was advertising it. And they gave me a free bag. And I was advertising it to you guys. That would be dumb. I mean, like, first off, I don't like the product. I don't think you guys are going to like the product. The price of the product is ridiculous or something like that. If I don't agree with the thing that I am showing off or endorsing... The Experience Network, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you, thank you. If I don't agree with the thing that I am bringing to you, and make no mistake, the people who are wearing those outfits are advertising that, then... that doesn't make me good. It doesn't matter if I got it for free. The fact is I'm showing it to you guys as if you should go out and get it. And I don't agree with that. So I did not get it, because I will not advertise for something that I do not agree with. I don't believe in the price of the DLC. I don't like the price comparison. I didn't like the way that it was advertised as a DLC, a new DLC. And these outfits were actually promised to come out whenever the new body model came out. You can see it's... when the new body models came out, those were a couple of the outfits that were shown off that we were supposed to just get in the game. And now they're being sold as DLC, so the whole thing was like... I'm not advertising something like that. I'm not. And I don't want it in my game. If I was going to go buy one of the outfits because I really wanted the outfit, that would be one thing. But I'm not going to get a free outfit and show it to everybody and say, like, you should definitely go buy the DLC. It's so worth it, when I didn't even pay for it. That would... no. Do I ever buy DLC in video games? Yes. Outlast Trials. I have bought 3 DLCs. I appreciate the game. I like the fact that the developer is in with the community. I like the updates that they had. They stay in Communicado. They do great storyline. They stay in... their theme is on par with their brand. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I don't mind contributing to that company by buying DLC. In this particular case, it's just the opposite. So, I know I am being a typical guy saying this, but Jen is the best looking NPC to look at. Yeah, because it's the only one that they cared whether or not she was nice to look at. I'm a female that would love for us to have a sexy dude trader. That's just me. I'm with you on the nut backing into the game, but this is the best survival game ever, and this is to give it free. I must give it a try. It's just pixels on a screen. Yeah, Sandy. That's absolutely awesome. You are You are the driving force behind the Fun Pimps, and I applaud you. I think a lot of us miss the stripper horde. I'll be honest with you, I don't necessarily miss the stripper. The stripper made sense, but I don't miss the stripper. I think the new Marilyn that we have is a whole lot more elegant and sexy, in my opinion. But I understood the stripper. She makes way more sense than a mummy and a troll. I always felt like somebody put a lot more time into that old stripper graphics. Yeah, it did seem like she was the best made of all of the zombies back then. I wonder which dev wife that was. I don't think we ever got the 411 on that one. I would like a proper snake animation. Can I get that as a DLC? How's about some snake skin? Can we get an anaconda? My anaconda don't want none unless the snake actually acts like a damn snake. How's about that DLC? Just can't do biome progression again. It's not fun, not even the slightest. I would rather gather a magazine that says... And that says loads? Yeah, no kidding. There's like 1,000 ways to make progression make sense. I mean, just difficult. If you really want to be technical, just the concept that they are different biomes in survival means that different things are needed to survive in that area. And the fact that this is a foreign concept and it has to be overplayed and overstated that there needs to be a difficulty level is odd to me. That the struggle bus to Strugglesville is real. It's like, I don't know how to make the game harder and make it harder to go into other biomes. They're progressing too fast. How do we fix this? And it was like they were just shooting darts at the wall and it's like, badges! Really? There had to have been at least one noob or one older person who was too busy doing something else or too scared to step up and say, you know, we used to have it where when you went into this biome, you had to have this stuff. And then someone's like, no, you're not allowed to say that they need a coat. We need magical armor so we can sell DLC. We can't sell them survival. We have to sell them DLC. And that's what it is. I have like this huge fear that they actually have a suit in charge. And by a suit, I mean like every major AAA company, there's somebody in finance that is trying really hard to corrupt the entire company into being focused on finance instead of delivering a decent game, which will provide finance. But they're trying to figure out how to twist the life out of the game at the same time, twist as much money out of the pocket of the player as they can, and if they can't twist both of those, then they're not happy, so they suck the life out of both sides of it. And I feel like there has to be at least one person that is doing that at the Fun Pimps because it just seems to have taken a weird turn. Like, it just does not even make sense. How do you... Forgive me, but how do you fuck up survival that bad that you used to have it in the game and then you take it back out? And wonder why people aren't happy about it. And I don't understand it. It's like there has to be somebody who's doing that. It's an active corruption of the game. What the end goal is, I don't know, but it's an active corruption of the game. Case in point, which game was it? Ubisoft or something like that? Basically, they are putting out all of these trash games nobody wants. They spend tons of money doing it, and they do all of this, and it tanks the company. The stock goes down. You know, somebody's making some money off of that, and then they sell part of the company to, say, the Chinese or something like that. So whoever that stockholder is got their money back, but it crashes the entire studio. People are laid off. Artists go unemployed. Developers get moved on to other projects. The company essentially becomes null and void and everything is shipped off overseas, but the person who was pocketing that money, whoever it was, the suit is what I refer to it as, made their money from the acquisition by another company. So it doesn't matter to them that they wrecked the entire company, and I feel like that's happening with every AAA gaming company. It's intentional. They're milking the system. They're gaming the system to pull as much money out of it as possible because they're not actually gamers. They're not actually developers. They're Wall Street bros or whatever you call them. And I think they're in charge of a lot of it. And I feel like, just deep down, I feel like even though the Fun Pimps aren't a AAA gaming company, they have one in their midst. Someone's making these choices. And they're selling it to The developers, somehow they're selling this idea of all of this money and all of this coolness, and every gaming company is doing it. They're selling it to them like that. This is what the meta is now. This is how you make the money now. And what they're actually doing is taking them down the same route all of the AAA gaming companies that are drying up have gone already. And they're just walking into it. I also thought at some point or another we were going to get trader teleportation. Wasn't that on the books somewhere? That was the reason why we got the helo pads. When is that coming? Apparently it's not anymore because progression is a thing, right? You just suddenly go to your teleporter or whatever at the traders and popped over to the wasteland and die in 30 seconds? That would suck. I'd assume that the teleporter is only active after you max out a trader influence for that trader. Oh my god. That was almost really bad. Oh man. Oh man. My entire body clenched. Can I please have a skill where I can increase my walking speed? This sucks. So if you broke something or something like that and you get stuck walking at the speed sucks. Can I get a... I want to be able to do a little bit faster walking speed. I want to be able to put perk points into it. We could call it, Stairmaster or something. We had that perk, it was called Roadrunner. What version was that? Alpha 16? Alpha 16! We need t-shirts made, bring back Alpha 16. Justice for Alpha 16. Something. That is ridiculous. Out of all the things I can think of that I want to be able to do, a perk that makes sense for the apocalypse or something like that, aside from, you know, perks that we don't have anymore that would make sense if other features were brought back in, such as the temperature issue that we used to have, but the temperature was no longer a problem anymore. A perk that allows you just to be able to walk faster. Seems like an absolute respect of a player's time, but I don't think that that respect exists anymore. I distinctly remember one of the things during the dev streams that the Fun Pimps used to tout and brag about was you'll always want to craft something. You'll have reasons for crafting things. You'll always need to be crafting things. You'll always be looking to see, what can I craft tonight? How can I do this? And I'm like, this has existed several times in the past. I know it has in the game. And now it's become, go out and look for books, the 50th of the same book of some sort, so you can make one more extra level. Not go out and do, so you can eventually come home and make better levels. I don't know, guys. I am definitely a person like, I am a gardener in real life. The more I garden, the more I know about gardening. Do I also do research on gardening? Heck yeah. And the research that I do and the gardening experience that I have makes me a better gardener. I feel like that aspect is just gone in this game. It's just gone. Don't worry, I'm sure something will get introduced in version 2.2 where you get a 1% faster walking speed with every 1,000 athletic magazines. No, I do not want a magazine for it. I want it to be a skill that you just perk into. If they want to open up skill trees, I mean, if we're going full RPG, that means learn by doing is back. If you have an athletic skill, the way you train an athletic skill is to do a thing, right? The way you learn acrobatics is you jump. The way you learn how to run faster is you run everywhere. That kind of thing. That's full RPG. If we're going to do magical potions, magical creatures, magical armor, where's our learn by doing? The problem was that crafting it was super easy to get max level bows in like 2 days just by crafting arrows. Yeah, but or you could just not craft that many arrows. If it's a sandbox game, and people want to sit there inside their tiny little room and make 5,000 hammers, let them sit in their tiny room and make 5,000 hammers. Most people are not going to play that game, play that way. They're going to craft hammers whenever they think about it, and then just go on and play the game. Nerfing something because they don't like the way people are doing it Makes no sense in a sandbox game. None. It'd be like every single time someone has ever asked me, should the fun pimps nerf nerd polling? No. Stop it. Get help. In a sandbox game, you should not be nerfing how people are playing because you don't like how they're doing it. Of course, you shouldn't also be turning the game into an RPG. So if we're either sandboxing or we're an RPG, and since they're kind of muddied right now, nothing makes sense anymore because none of it seems right. If you want to go RPG, go full RPG. If you want to go sandbox, full send on that, and people will understand. Right? Choose one. Or a good, proper marriage of both of them could be interesting, but they're not married properly. The sandbox and the RPG aspects, they are not married properly in any way immersive. In Morrowind, we jumped everywhere until we were able to jump 50 feet per bound. Yes, exactly. You jumped everywhere. If you wanted to, for the 5th playthrough that you did, sit in a corner at the first shack that you got there and sneak until the person behind you turns around or doesn't realize that you're there and they get max sneak, that's how you decided to play. You didn't force them how they had to learn how to jump or how they had to learn how to sneak. And that was an RPG. And they still didn't tell you how to do it. In this case, the fun pimps are actually telling you how to play their game. They're restricting ways in which you're not allowed to play that way. You're not allowed. Don't do it. You're not allowed to cheese your horde base. If you're cheesing your horde base, we're going to nerf the zombies again for the 30th time. This is an odd relationship, you know? I don't think it's in anyone's best interest to develop a game and then tell people how they're supposed to play it. What happened if Todd actually showed up at your house and said, no, you can't do that. You can't play it that way. You're not allowed. Made you faster on roads specifically, but they changed that whole cardio thing when it helps with stamina regen. Yeah, but stamina regen just makes you run faster. What happens whenever you break your leg? You're not supposed to run, which they, by the way, may increase how long your leg is broken, but it will no longer kill you. Which is weird that that was taken out. I don't even know what version that was taken out of. I just distinctly remember there was one time I didn't realize my leg was broken and I was running along and realizing it was no longer damaging my health. How many people at like, what was it, Alpha 18, 19, broke your leg, didn't realize you broke your leg and jumped a couple of times and just died? You and Izzy pre-built should do a what's wrong with this game stream. I don't know. I've seen Izzy's latest update videos and he was trying to find positive spins on things, so I think he's trying to get back into the group. But I think most content creators right now feel the same even if they're not voicing it. You might hear like a offhanded comment after they talk about a thing. They'll talk about a thing and it's like, okay, or something like that. But I think underneath, all of them feel just as frustrated. And get Liz banned from streamer weekends too. I was honestly considering not participating after this particular stream. I want to be involved in it because yes, it's cool having people find the channel and everything, but it's like, I can't get into why because there's actually confidentiality agreements involved in being part of the Fun Pimps creator group, which I guess there probably is with every creator group. You're not allowed to talk about certain things, but there are certain things that happen that I don't agree with, and it weighs on me, so I've seriously considered just not being a part of it anymore. Would it boot me out of Streamer Weekend? Did I work really hard to be involved in Streamer Weekend? Yes, for like 2 years I worked very hard to be part of that. I kind of feel like I'd be happy to just walk away from it. And be able to say what I want to without having to preface this as, I hope I don't get banned. According to what we have been told is they appreciate criticism from people who agree with their idea of how the game should be. And as long as any criticism is also accompanied by a fix of some sort. So you can't just say, this particular thing sucks. It actually has to be, this particular thing sucks, and here's my free idea on how you could fix it, that you will ignore. So, cool, I got a level just standing here staring at the mausoleum. There's like a whole contingent of people that are very frustrated that they just completely annihilated dyes out of all the armor. Originally, they were supposed to make it where you could put dyes in the armor. It was told to us that we would be able to put the dyes in the armor. That was coming later. It's not ready. It's not working yet. And then one of the patch notes, they took the tag off, so you definitely cannot put dyes in your armor now. I'm pretty sure at some point that's going to come back as a DLC. I very much like the desert. If they made a fall town, I would go through the fall town, but I can't do that. For our next DLC that we can purchase, can we get new biomes? I would like a Nightmare Before Christmas biome. Oh, I just found a content creator. I think I've seen them in passing, like in my feed, but I've never actually watched one of their videos. Sorry. But I was watching one of their videos because they were talking about one of the updates and where you can find supercorn now, because supercorn is harder to find. And it's also level locked in certain areas, like you have to be a certain level at the trader in order to find it. And they were covering a couple of things, but apparently during Streamer Weekend, they also got into the same conversation that we got into on Streamer Weekend, which was if you had to pick one version of 7 days as peak 7 days, which one would you say? And apparently his chat said that Alpha 16 was peak 7 days. So he's doing an Alpha 16 run, and I was sitting there watching him play, and it was like huge nostalgia because he was going into the desert and getting overheated and trying to find ways to cool down, and he could barely move because his stamina would get eaten up because he was so hot, and he would actually start losing health because he was so hot for so long. And I was like, oh my god. Fill my veins with that, please. That's actually kind of what I miss. But at one point, and I think it was probably during the dev stream, I figured out something that I probably should have realized before. And it's not my circus, not my monkeys. And I'm just going to start approaching it that way, because honestly, I just can't handle it anymore. I just can't. Here, let me take out everything in my pocket and show it to you. A little bit of show and tell with a zombie. If you can't dazzle them with your, fighting abilities, dazzle them with all of the things you have in your pocket. Why are you running? Okay, seriously, why are you running? That rage mode is really long. What? How long is rage mode now? If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with BS. That is the entire motto of my entire channel. That should actually be on my banner. So, how many people have already gotten into this version and have already turned off, like, badges or storms or both? I've had a lot of people in my comment section saying that they already turned off one or the other. Stop! Stop! Oh my god, nice to see that we have DLC armor, but you can't fix the daggum zombies hitting you when they shouldn't be hitting you. What just hit me? What just hit me? Phantom clothing, maybe? Because it wasn't his hand. I got poked in the eye by zombie phantom limbs. I want to be able to do a server where we can do lifestyles of the rich and famous in apocalyptic form, where I can do tours of people's extravagant bases and everything. We can't do that if you're constantly having to reset the server and restart people's stuff. They need to fix this. I used to build big bases, then I realized I don't really have very long to... Sorry, Recti, you were talking? Now would be a great time for one of those cricket sounds. I used to build exceptionally large bases, and then I realized every single time that maps and servers don't last all that long, so I just repurpose buildings instead. I would really like to be able to go back to being a builder, you know? This is a go wash the dishes type of mission. It sucks. There's not a good reward for it. I do hope that if they're going to continue to tout doing multiplayer games and stuff like that, that they spend some time actually working on the multiplayer aspect. You can't... How do I do this as a positive? How does one do this as a positive? I'm usually a person who tries to speak very frankly about things. And I'm trying hard not to be negative, but speak frankly. And it's a very hard process. It seems like the Fun Pimps have this concept of going to multiplayer gaming because, well, Blood Moons is multiplayer. Basically, I think mostly strictly it's a multiplayer game. There might be a way to play it single player, I have no idea. But they're also selling cosmetics. You don't sell cosmetics really to a non-multiplayer game. There's really no point unless you're Bethesda. So if you're going to go after that multiplayer nugget, as it were, if you want that nugget of money that you can get from the multiplayer sphere, it seems to me like you should invest at least a few hours worth of development and fixing some of the issues multiplayer has. and has had for a long time. That's just my 2 cents. If I'm completely frank, last alpha and this alpha have really killed the game for me. I mean, like, it's in its death throes, but I'm going to continue on with the hope that it gets better. That they start listening to the community again. Maybe it will happen. Who knows? Weirder things have happened. But I love the Frost Claws. Yeah, when they were on Scooby-Doo. Is there someone who's making a mod that, like, converges all of the best aspects of all of the versions into one version? 2.0 has got so little survival aspects, it's really not the same game anymore. Which some folks think it's cool, and some folks don't like it. I guess it just depends on where you are in that list of whether or not you like the old version of the game or not, but... Hey! 2.0 just seems like it kind of kills any of the survival aspect. Or Sandbox or anything else like that. I'm waiting for them to actually make the announcement that they're going to implement the nerd pole nerf or something like that. I'm just waiting for that, because it just seems like the next step in this desecration of Sandbox gaming. This whole adverting for the blood moons and stuff is going to make me go religious or something. Lord help, I need patience on this day. Patience to keep my mouth shut. Send your angels down to me and place their hands straight over my mouth before I say something someone's going to make me regret, because I'm not going to regret having said it. I can say what I do like about all of the updated versions is I do actually like some of these POIs. They look really good. It's about the only thing I can say. Hi, Paul. Bye, Paul. For those of us who are not necessarily OGs, but we've been here long enough to see what the game was, we want people who are coming in that are new to see the game from our perspective, to see how awesome the game should be. And it's disappointing that it's not. That's all. The art change is so weird. I don't want Borderlands in my 7-day cereal. Yeah. Whenever I saw the ad for it, I was like, that's Borderlands. That's Borderlands. Why did they choose that? I mean, it's not that I don't like the vibe of Borderlands. It's very comic book style, and I don't mind that aesthetic. I just thought it was an odd choice. I thought the crowd that they were targeting with this game were people who wanted a different playstyle for 7 days, which should have been a DLC for 7 days, is what that should have actually been, not a full game unto itself, but I digress. The point is if you're going to try to attract the crowd that you currently have to your new game, wouldn't the vibe feel the same? Or at least exceptionally similar? When I saw that, I was like, I don't understand what's going on here. What is this? They're trying so hard to be something else what's more popular. They haven't even gotten the server functioning. I think the problem is at this point, they've been working on this game for so long, and they see all that new money coming in gaming. And even though they're 5 years behind the curve, they're trying to capture some of that money by doing the 4-person online multiplayer thing that people were doing 5 and 7 years ago. The problem is they are so far behind that curve, people are already sick of the model. I mean, I play Outlast Trials, and even when that one came out, I was concerned that there was no way that game was going to actually be interesting and capture my attention at all. I was not interested in it until after I watched the playthrough, and now that I've actually been playing in it, I realize the people who are developing it are actually interested in what the community wants. Because of all of those aspects, I recommend Outlast Trials. The problem is I can't in good conscience recommend a 7 days spin-off game when 7 days hasn't even gotten the updates that it should, and every update that we have gotten has been further and further away from what was promised and what the community has asked for, because this is what was promised. So there's no way I can endorse Blood Moons. All of that baggage, and then watching the playthrough of it, I'm like, there's no way they're actually going to do what they say they're going to do with it if they can't even do it with a game that they've been working on for as long as they have. Now, do I believe they're actually going to do a Gen DLC outfit? Yeah, because it's going to earn them money. And it's very easy to do because the skin already exists, just like all of the other DLCs. Heck, people have been begging for a clown zombie inside 7 days. Guess what they've got in Blood Moons? Clown zombie. A pimp. Yeah, oh my god. If you pre-order the game, You're gonna get a full pimp outfit to wear in your apocalypse. Just wanted to say, someone with 13k hours in the game since Alpha 11, I'm 1000% behind your thoughts on the game at the moment. Well, at least I'm not the only one. I'll be honest with you. I was sitting here thinking at the very beginning of this version, during Streamer Weekend, actually. I mean, we didn't even get to the full version that was released for everybody, but during that weekend, I felt like there was this, I don't even know what to call it. It was like this disassociation that my brain was doing because I was playing it and I was reading the patch notes and everything. And I was like, this is crap. This is a big pile of crap on top of the crap that was already there. And I don't mean to crap on the game specifically, but what I'm saying is it's been a year since we had an update. And they spent a year working on an update that, first off, nobody wanted. Nobody asked for. That everybody has turned off already in their games. And then even after, what was it? It was a full year. It was Alpha... They were adverting for Alpha 22. They were actually showing the up-and-coming stuff in Alpha 22. So we were in Alpha 21. They were talking about armor that had special abilities. And even back then, there was a huge voice in the community saying, this is not what we want. This is a survival game. You can't just put magical armor in a survival game. And they waited till the 4 version came out and did it anyway. Like, they weren't really paying attention to what anybody was saying about the game. They just did it anyway. Which, I mean, yeah, it's your game. I guess you can make it however you want to, but if you're going to advertise as a Sandbox survival, deliver a Sandbox survival. If you're not actually going to do that, then the page on Steam actually needs to be changed, because it's not a Sandbox survival. If you're going to govern how people are supposed to play it, it's not a Sandbox survival. It's a mislabeling. Trying to gauge other people's reactions to what I was seeing in the game, and I was like, there's like this whole disassociation. I was like, are people really excited about this, or are they just being really, really nice? You know, saying it's cool, we've got an update. I know, of course, there were a whole lot of new people coming in from consoles, and they were just happy to have a version of the game, period, updated. And they were all excited that they had one. So they had this influx of new money come in, and fresh new faces who had no idea what the rest of us have gone through since the console version of it. And I just felt like, I don't know, like somehow or another I was the only one in the world who felt this way. Aside from maybe a couple of people that were talking during the streams and stuff like that, I felt like maybe I was overreacting, that this was a me thing, that just because the game isn't coming out the way I want it, I was not liking it. Anyway, what I was just getting at was because I was seeing comments in Discords and on streams that were like, hey, this is cool, I'm so excited, and just felt like I was kind of alone in my whole, you're excited for a fresh load of poop. Okay, cool. Mods are not supposed to fix a broken game. They're supposed to make a good game better. Or make a decent game more playable. Not fix a broken game. It'd be like going to McDonald's and someone handing you a burger and like you've got a patty over here and the bread's spread out and all of the ketchup and everything's around it and they just hand it to you. And you're like, I don't like that. That's not the way I ordered it. And you're like, well, I can just give it to this random person who's a fan of our company and they can fix it for you for free. That's an abuse of your fan base, as far as I'm concerned. That's a Bethesda rant as well? Yes, it is. Any gaming company that just announces without any guile whatsoever, says the modding community will fix it, and they actually mean it, I don't think that that company deserves to be a company anymore, because you're expecting people who are just fans of your game, who are doing it for free, to fix the things you knowingly are leaving broken. Like the Fallout 4 patch. You can't play the game and any other mods without the Fallout 4 patch, because the Fallout 4 patch actually fixed not just random, you know, odd mods. It fixes a main game questline. How did they never fix that? How many folks go to McDonald's, get a burger, it's not right, and they have them remake the burger, and the employee either gets fired or retrained on how to do it properly? How is this any different? I guess that's the reason why indie developers are doing so well nowadays, is because of that exact same circumstance. Bring the modders into the train and let them fix their broken stuff. Pay for the external console. No, Ton, they're not going to do that. They're going to take all of the cool things and implement them in the game and make sure... I'm sorry, but the whole Twitch integration was a mod. And the Fun Pimps are now... Not only did they get the idea, they are now also making money off of that idea. And as far as I know, the person who originally made the mod got no compensation for it. And there are other things, sad to say, that are the same way. The good ideas get absorbed. Which that's fine, so long as you give credit and compensation. There's no problem with that. Whenever those don't happen, that's an issue. And saying modders are going to fix it and then you don't compensate and don't give credit, that's an abuse of your fan base as far as I'm concerned. Heck, I'm not even really on a soapbox. I'm basically standing on level ground with as far as I can tell, aside from the few people who like to... How do I say this? They either don't actually play the game, and they're sucking up, hoping some way or another they'll get a tithing offering of some sort. Probably a raid or something like that from Prime, or hoping to get some token of pat on the head from a gaming dev. Or people who are brand new to the game, or people who are from console and just happy to be included again. Aside from that group, I don't know of very many people who've been playing the game for a few years that are excited about this update, or the changes that have been made. So I think I'm just like on level field with this. Every time I read someone say, all the stuff in this update is cool, these armors are great, and such as that, I just feel like... You're really deep-throating it, aren't you? I mean, like, just went all in on it, right? I bet you didn't even get paid for that. There's a word for that, you know? That's really all I can think, and that's like the nicest way I can phrase that, and that was as ambiguous as I possibly could be about it. Is he still alive? I know as a mod author, they can... Anything that I write, they can automatically take it without any credit. Something that we can set from the start. Exactly. I totally get that. If you're modding the game, it's still their game. You're just giving them ideas, especially if you're doing it while the game is still in development. I get that, but as a modder, for you to hear them say that the modders will fix it, does that make you want to continue modding? I'm not saying that you're going to stop modding, because people who started modding a long time ago are probably not going to stop anytime soon. They're probably going to continue doing it because they want to. But to hear a dev just idly say, if such and such is a thing, then modders can fix it. Does that make you feel better? Recognized? And then knowing that they say that, and then they might actually take your idea, put it into their game, with no compensation of any sort after they said... It would be like, okay, the burger situation, the burger, you know, the burger, the patty, the bun open, squished on top of the thing, maybe the pickles are over here, ripped up, nasty, slimy, the mustard and everything's over here, and somebody gives it to you and you're like, I didn't order that, that's not what I want, and that actually kind of looks gross. It's like, okay, well, this person over here will fix it. Well, that person picks it up and says, this is supposed to be a burger, so I'm going to put the burger together. I'm going to put the pickles on it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get some better pickles because pickles make the burger. And I'm going to put it together, and it's beautiful. Here's you a perfect... And then the person who originally made the burger, sort of, comes back over, grabs the burger, and says, oh, this is beautiful. Here you go. How would that make you feel? I mean, I'm getting into a whole lot of feels, but I mean, it's like the boss at work that takes your idea to the big boss and says it's theirs, you know? It's the same kind of creepy vibe. And I'm not saying that they've done that. I'm just saying if that were the case, how does that play out, you know? You don't mind the storms? I wish they didn't last as long. Not a fan of the biome badge. I like the storms. The storms I really and truly like. I think that we should have things that allow you temporary coverage during the storms or partial coverage. Like if you're out and about, this is all of the stuff. All of the recent changes go hand in hand on how they mess up this situation. So I'm just gonna idly go as if it happens. If you were playing the game and a storm happens, like the smoke storm, if you were to have a bandana or something like that and put it over your mouth, it would negate part of the damage you would normally take, and you could ride. You would still take damage and you would still have to hurry to get where you're at, but the mechanic would make more sense. So instead of being stuck inside permanently, it might just be a matter of well, if I have the extra crafting stuff, I can just make a few bandages and reapply them and compensate with a bit of health, and now I can survive a storm. In a survival situation, you find ways to survive storms. If it's like the desert, I have to drink smoothies, I have to wear clothing that is fit for the desert, and maybe it doesn't completely negate the damage, but your stamina is really low. So if you get into a fight, there's a problem. But you still don't get stuck in a position. You can still, like, bike to your house, continue on back to the trader, something like that, you know? Where there's damage, but not so much that you can't go out. You still want to do it, but I don't think it should be like you can just ignore that the storm is going on. There has to be some sort of survival aspect to it. A marriage between the learn by doing and the books. Because honestly, looking through boxes and boxes and boxes, and the only thing you can get excited about is your 50th book of the same series, it's boring looting. It's not fun. A bandana is something you can craft right at the start, though, so of course the Fun Pimps couldn't have it where you could do that. But the thing is if the bandana can be crafted, but it only partially works enough for you to get to some other place. Like, I got stuck between the border of two places during a storm, and I couldn't survive the storm, and I couldn't survive the biome that I was going into. I had to pull a Minecraft out of all the things to have to go back to, is pull a Minecraft and dig underneath the ground. If there was a chance I was going to be making a long trip through this biome and this biome, what are the precautions as a survivalist would I do? Well, if it's the burn biome, I'd probably take a couple of extra bandanas. If I was going to be going into the desert, I'd probably take a couple of extra, like, ice drinks and make not a parka. What was I supposed to say? A parka. What's the word? I just went blank. But you know what I'm talking about. The point is if you know you're going to those biomes, the act of preparing for going into those biomes in a way that is immersive is survival. The act of preparing to go into a biome by drinking potions and fighting mythical creatures that should not exist in a zombie apocalypse and earning a badge is not immersive. You could take the fireman gear, yeah. But I can guarantee you, whenever they do finally release that DLC fireman outfit, it's probably not going to give you any sort of help in that biome at all. Don't get me wrong, I like the fact that I am concerned about going into the desert. I think there is a bit too much ease as far as difficulty level goes, the progression of difficulty. The concept of a creature that you're worried about is cool. A plague spitter, I'm not so sure actually fits the genre, though, is what I'm saying. Just like a frostclaw, I don't think fits the genre either. And it's not just the stun locking, it's also just the immediately critical damage. A bug should not be able to do that much critical damage. Yes, if you get stung 500 times, a lot of humans would probably die from a bee sting. Just because of the buildup of it. But just like 3 stings, you're not going to die unless you're allergic to it. And since we're not actually doing a variation where we get scenarios where your character had this previous job according to the apocalypse or whatever, and because of this, you have to choose like a certain amount of points that your character can have, and your character was a fireman, but because you have a fireman, you get a lot of points towards some of this. In order to get your points down, you pick out something that your character's bad at, like your character smokes and he's allergic to bees. Suddenly you get stung by bees and you're taking extra damage because of it. That's more like Project Zomboid type of stuff. So unless we're going to that, there's no reason why the bees should cause critical damage. I think the issue is because the bees are on the same thing as like normal bad guys, they stack critical damage, but they get a whole lot more hits per second, so their chance of doing critical damage or causing an infection is way higher than any zombie should do just because the amount of times they can hit you. It kind of makes sense. It's a cursed mummy thing. Yeah, but it's zombie apocalypse with a cursed mummy and a frost troll doesn't really jive with me anyway. An infected beekeeper with a full bee garb, you know, like the bee outfit. And they put bees in stumps and had a zombie with a bee outfit that spit bees. That would have been cool. Let me get the mummy. And the whole thing would have, like, meshed together perfectly, you know? Whenever you put things together and mesh them together, it creates the lure and makes it more immersive. Just stick a mummy in there, unless you're going to put a museum in the game where the mummy came from with some weird science lab underneath it. The mummy doesn't fit. It's like the vomit break your limbs, but yeah, I never believed that the vomit should break your limbs either. That seemed completely stupid to me. Now, if the vomit is a creating an acid or something like that that might cause bleeding, I would understand that, but breaking a limb never made sense. If you're on fire, wasn't there a version where if you were on fire, you got in water and you were no longer on fire? Does that still work, or is that... I thought that was taken out at one point. I don't know if it was brought back. What I love is being able to talk to you guys about the issues I have with the game, because we can sit here and come up with ideas of things that would do better, work better in its place or something like that. It's a little less frustrating, you know? It's like I bring my concerns to you guys and you're like, well, what if we did it this way? Or what if it was done this way? Or something like that. And it's like, yes, that makes more sense. The Fun Pimps should definitely listen to our stream, get these ideas and make the game better. They're not going to do it.